our own vegetables. The need for us to start backyard plots, backyard gardens, and then start eating it ourselves. So then we feel better. We'll feel better once we start growing our own crops. I want to say that very quickly before I move on to the next subject, which is about, what is it about? I'm not sure. Let's see. Somebody had a birthday today. I'm not sure. I suppose get you to sing happy birthday to somebody. Now I don't see that person in here. But anyway, I wanted to say the previous speaker.
Adrian.
Oh, okay. Adrian, where you at? It's a different kind of birthday. Not biological birthday, but birthday of how long he's been sober. 10 years. 10 years? 10 years. Let's give him a round of applause. Everybody, it's been 40 years. Well, it'll be 40 years on New Year's Eve for me. 40 years that I need a drink. No,
Drink water.
Yeah, water. I drink water, lots of water. So I want to say, I just want to comment on the states of this country, of almost every state that is. We always have to do battle with these states. They're always encroaching on our rights. You know, the states, Oregon, whether it's Oregon or Minnesota or Wisconsin, somehow they believe they have sovereignty over everybody within that state. That's when they became a state. I now know this from research. Those states have to agree. Before they become the state, they have to agree that the validity of those treaties that were signed between the government and the many nations, many tribal nations found in the United States, they have to agree to abide to them. Then they will become a state. So I now know that. I mean, I knew that a long time ago, but I know that. So I don't know where they come around again now and say, well, we have jurisdiction over your land. We have jurisdiction over everything that you do. And they like to think that. I cannot understand how some people born whose ancestors came from across the world and have somehow started building their cabins over here, and now they have with them the assumption that they own this land. When I came down here last year, I saw a sign that said, "This is Obama country." And I was thinking, what happened? I thought there was native people lived here in Portland. What happened to the native people? And so I've seen that all across the country as I've traveled about in San Francisco, in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Chicago, landing in Chicago, Obama country. What about the Illini people? What about them? They're still around here. America has to learn. I don't know how many times we have to tell America that this is native country. Native country. Country. It's always been native country, and it always will be. Yes. Even after they pack up and go home, it'll still be ours. Don't get worried now, the audience folks. We're not going to pack you up. We're not going to pack you up and send you to France or Germany or wherever you came from. So you got to behave.
Respect my country or go home.
Now, I'm hoping that we might be able to bring on this, this walk not next year, but delaying it for a full year. And I'm hoping that suggestion that I'm making to the local, the Portland name chapters, that they look at all of the information about diabetes and all the reasons why it should happen across this country. We did it in 1972 when we had the Trail of Broken Treaties. We had people from California, Los Angeles sweeping through, and from San Francisco, I led that caravan. Don Sargent led the caravan out of, and Russell Means led the one out of Seattle. We had 3 caravans sweeping the entire country, going to Washington, D.C. to tell, well, at that time it was Nixon, that the policy to control Native people is with the Bureau of Land Management, and that end of that control should happen now. That the decisions about our land, about our resources, gold, coal, timber, bituminous coal, all of the resources, that we, Native people, should have that control. We should be the ones to be able to exercise who comes on our land and who cuts the timber, who digs for the gold. But the reason why is because then we can determine, you know, who's on our land and how long they stay on our land. Right now, the Bureau of Land Management controls by policy, by statute, everything on Indian territory. So, and I want to thank one other person in history. His name was Richard Milhouse Nixon. He was the President of the United States, and he was the only sitting president who gave land back to Indian people. The only president. The rest of them were taking, but he was the only one. I know you guys think of him as a crook. Some of you guys think of him as a crook. You know, remember you say, I am not a crook. Oh, yes you are. So, but he was the only one. He gave the Blue Lake back to the Taos people in New Mexico. And he restored, right here in Oregon, Klamath, back to, you know, there was termination, and they restored them back to the jurisdiction for tribal people. Gave land back in Washington State, back in, and restored the status back in Wisconsin. So he was the only president to ever do that. And he did it all in about 2 years.
1971 Congressional Land Claims Act.
Yeah. Right. See, somebody out there remembers that. Good memory. You got a good memory.
I'm full-blood Eskimo.
Oh, man. Eskimos. All right. What good memory. You know, there is a story in those educational books. I think some of you have read that story that Indians came across the Bering Straits. Have you heard that story someplace in coming up in school?
That's the BS theory.
That's the BS theory. The Bering Strait, that's the BS theory. We've always been here. We've always been here. You know, if you live the lie long enough, pretty soon they'll say, white Americans have always been here. What are you Native people doing here? You better go back to China. That's what they'll be saying. We don't insist.
I'm full-blood Eskimo, and if you call me a Heinz 57 Asian, I'll look at you like you's crazy. But
I am crazy.
the D-Day.
I am crazy.
D-Day in down by Apache land are our cousins because they like the sunshine. Never mind. I love to you all.
Was you in the Bering Straits?
I was born at the mouth of the Selawik River that goes into Norton Sound that goes into the Bering Strait.
Oh.